Hey everyone, welcome to the Completely Unnecessary Podcast for Tuesday, April 6th. We're in April?
Tuesday! Yes, we are.
2021.
We're like many days into April.
Alongside
6
Ian,
days.
Alongside Ian Ferguson. 6 isn't many. I'm Pat Contry.
It's a lot to me.
It's several. On the show today, we're talking about WADA games. We'll talk about independent game stores, Ian's bread and butter, if I must say.
Bread and butter, yes.
Bread and
indeed.
butter. We'll be doing a Patreon poll topic. Your comments, talking about E3 a little bit. That's what's happening. We had a weekend and a Monday.
We did have a weekend.
NCAA basketball. Major League Baseball's back. We're playing sports again in front of people here and there.
Yeah, so the end of the NCAA tournament didn't do a whole lot for me. I did watch...
There's a guy pumping up the tournament. And you're
I
like,
know. Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, by the time I get to the Final Four, I can find games to watch.
You've watched 40 games by then, so you're out of it. Like, all right.
Well, I've watched a lot of basketball in a month. This is how it goes every year. I need to care somewhat about the teams in the final in the national game.
You didn't care about Gonzaga?
I did care about Gonzaga a little bit, but not enough to really, go out of my way yesterday to watch the national.
And the undefeated team dropped the ball and they lost again. That happened to 3-4 years ago.
Yep.
It's hard to do that. It's hard to go undefeated. Like that's hard to do.
But it was really nice to have the tournament. It occupied my mind for probably 2 weeks. I watched everything up until the Final Four, I think. I watched pretty much something from every round into the Elite Eight. But I'm trying... I try every year. I try to pay attention to the Padres.
That's Ian in the corner. Padres are supposed to be good this year.
Padres have been good for the past couple of years.
Tatis hurt his wrist though yesterday. He took a swing and
no,
that's not. But so
that's not.
We'll
good.
see. Let me look that up.
Baseball can be difficult for me. Some years I can get into it. Some years I can't.
Shoulder injury being evaluated.
Oh, goddamn.
Well, that's not probably major. Maybe a month or so. Because they signed him for $1 billion years at $1 billion, whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
The Mets spent $500 million literally in the offseason, the most by any team by far. The Mets have a new owner who's spending money because it's a real franchise in New York City. So they want to actually not be the fucking stepchild going forward to the Yankees. So I'm like, here you go. But of course, the Mets' first game, one of the best pitchers of the past 30 years, maybe 40 years, DeGrom, scoreless, 6 innings. And the Mets bullpen comes in and gives up 5 runs in the 8th. And that's how you know we're back to normal. Jacob DeGrom's brilliant starts get squandered again. So, anyway, that's our baseball talk.
That's the baseball talk for this week.
Pat and the Mad Dog. Can you do a Chris Russo Mad Dog expression?
I can't.
I'll be the Mad Dog. It's Ian and the Mad Pat.
Ian and the Mad.
You can do a friend says, "Hey everyone, where's my Diet Coke?" I mean, if you grew up in the East Coast, you know what Mike and the Mad, they were an institution. They were like the original 2 guys talking about sports radio with wacky person. They were it. They were it. If you never grew up with them, they're like, oh, what's so special about that? They were it. Like that. That was the template going back to the late 80s. I think they started like 89.
Yeah,
that.
I think that's probably.
So I listened to Mike and the Mad Dog on the radio almost every day of my childhood, life. That's what you did, And now Chris Russo, Mad Dog, does a serious thing, and then Francesa pretends to still know what's going on his own little... They brought him back. He retired, and they brought him back the next year because ratings tanked without him. He's back on the Fan, WFAN. That was the original sports radio station, again, in New York, so that was the template. They brought him back, and he does that, and he does a podcast. But Mike Francesa, if you don't know him, there's a whole Twitter account called Back After This, the Funhouse, that lists all the top moments of Mike not knowing what he's talking about or saying, I never said that when he said...
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's great.
And the thing about Mike Francesa, he's the blowhard New Yorker that only knows about... He follows football and baseball and the Yankees, but he lives in New York, which is a 4-sport town.
Yeah.
Basketball is huge in New York City. Hockey is huge in New York City. He can't even pretend to follow those 2 sports, especially basketball, which has blown up a ton the past 6, 7, 8, 10 years.
Sure.
He doesn't even pretend to know what's happening. So he'll say stuff and he doesn't know what he's talking about. So follow, I think it's called Funhouse. Just look up Back After This, AFTA, because that's what he says. Back after this, and he's known for falling asleep on camera. When he was on the Yes Network, literally falling asleep. But I never fell asleep. No, he fell asleep. Because you can see him wake up with the microphone's like, where am I? What's going on? He's funny, Mike Francesa. If you're in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, you're like, yes, Pat, or even Pennsylvania, but otherwise you're like, who the hell are you talking about? There was a 30 for 30 on them that came out a couple years ago. So they were that important, Mike and the Mad Dog. So anyway, that's not what we're doing though. We're doing a podcast about video games.
That's right. That is what we're doing.
And Mario is dead officially.
He's dead. They killed him.
Mario is dead. I don't know how that started. Like, I guess it blew up. And then Nintendo even said, hey, it's the last day we're celebrating. It was like a 6-month celebration of Super Mario Brothers for the 35th anniversary. So that meant like you couldn't play Super Mario 35 after, was it the end of March? That was what night? Was that Wednesday night? Well, no, it was on the weekend. What day was that? What was the end of Mario? I should know this as a podcaster. Was it Wednesday? Was it the end of Mario, or Thursday or Friday? When was the end of Mario? Mario dies.
It died on the 31st.
That was the 31st.
Yeah.
So at first it was like 11 p.m. I was like almost starting to like fall asleep on the couch. I was convalescing, and I was like, oh, it would be nice to play Super Mario 35, but I've played it before. I hadn't played it in the past couple months. It's like, oh, it's a nice memory. Then something said you should play. You should get this last moment of playing this game because it might not come back like this.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, let's fire it up. Get my Pro Controller. Thankfully, it was still charged from last time. Let's do it. I turn it on. Play the first game. This is how my Super Mario 35 runs usually go. Pretty good first run.
Sure.
Top 5.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm focused. But then Pat gets overconfident, and then he does a stupid error in the second game, where he's like, "Oh, I got in 5th place," and then I come in like 15th or 20th place afterwards. Then I'm like, "Wow, Pat, you're stupid. Let's button it up." Then the third run is like my peak, and that's what happens. So I was like 5th place, whatever, 25th place, and then 5 minutes before midnight, I put it on Twitter. If you saw it, I got first place. Nice. It was a tough first place. It was like one of those, you're down to 2 guys for like 10 minutes, and it got to the point where it's going even faster, the time going down. So I'm like, oh, I got 400 coins built up. I got to just keep hitting the power, using that to get the time, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes. Smash that button. And that's what saved me, because I was like, wow, this is bad. I'm down to like 20 seconds. It's going fast. Keep hitting it. I couldn't use the coins fast enough at that point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that's why you build your coins up. That's Pat's strategy. You build your coins early and often.
Yeah, you got to collect the shit out of them coins.
Yes, you got to get to like a good like 350, 400 coins to get when you're down to the last 5. That's Pat's tip when it comes to that. Focus on the coins. Time you can always make up before the timer starts going down. Like, you have time to go slow, stomp on enemies. I'm giving advice to a game that's dead, basically.
Yes.
But anyway, so I got in first place, and so it felt weird. I'm like, yeah, this is bad that this is going away. There's no positive way to spin that game's going away.
It's a really dumb thing that they did.
People would pay like $4 a month, I think, just to play this game. They'll pay like a subscription, I think, if they tack this on to like a premium. I always said Nintendo could do a premium online service and give you more stuff for like whatever, $5-10 more a month, and people would pay it, for something like this.
The limiting the physical copies of something, it sounds bad, but as I've argued before on this podcast, it's just a different way of saying what's always gone on. The games are not perpetually in production. They all have a period of time where they are provided, and that's that. It's not like they went and took all the copies off the shelf.
It's not like Target. They can't tell Target to rip everything off the shelves. No, if they have their stock, they're going to put the stock out.
Like for instance, our friends up at Pink Gorilla Games, there was a picture that they've got a ton of copies. They bought a ton of physical copies of it that will provide people with those copies for quite some time. In that area, they can't make those go away. It's like I said, it's really business as usual, I think, when it comes to that. But putting up a digital game and then removing it, that I have a much larger problem with.
That spits in the face of game preservation.
Yeah, that I have a big problem with.
Because even if someone figures out how to bring that back, right, and puts up their own servers, it's not Nintendo running the game anymore, right? You'll never be able to replicate that experience. And that's really what game preservation is to me, truly at the core, is replicating the original experience of playing that game. That to me, it's like that's the most, the basic level. Yeah, you can play the game, but how are you playing it when it first came out? How are you experiencing it? And trying to get back to that is, for digital, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, the ease of, even if it's somehow brought back, like you said, private server, something like that, it's not. the ease of accessibility is going to change how many people are playing it and how easy it is to just jump in and have fun or something like that.
So you can still buy it new, maybe not through Amazon. Maybe they said Amazon pull them off, but you can get them on Amazon, $55. You can get 3D All Stars. So don't go to scalpers.
I have to be honest with you.
Best Buy has them listed on eBay for $60. So Best Buy's account is listing them, so they have a ton of them.
Yeah.
So like
they're not going anywhere. Get a copy if you want it, but I mean, you shouldn't have to buy anything from a scalper.
Best Buy has sold 900 according to this. More than 10 available. Yes, I'm sure it's more than 10 available. Sure. I'm sure it's more than 1,000 available.
Sure
yes,
it's far more than 10 available.
They just do that. Yeah.
That's
for my book. It's like more than 10 available. You put so that doesn't concern me. Honestly, there's millions of these physical copies. Like, don't worry about that.
They're out there.
It's out there. It's Mario 35. That's a crime. That's really the criminality of this.
Yes.
And speaking of that, Microsoft came out maybe because of this and talked about game preservation, kind of surprisingly.
Interestingly, yes. It's one of those things where
Weird timing.
I think it also has to do with Sony. That one guy at Sony is like real big on. Remember we talked about him.
He's like, I don't know why you want to play the original Gran Turismos and everything. It's like, what are you, nuts?
And Sony doesn't focus on backwards compatibility, whereas Microsoft does. So this is just one of those areas where Microsoft does manage to generally make themselves seem more like the good guy than
it's swapped from the PS3 thing when Sony was like anti-DRM and Xbox was trying to push it, and now
that was Xbox One when Microsoft was trying to be always online. Yeah, no.
But now it's switched where Microsoft is more like consumer friendly. It seems they're like, or trying to.
They're trying. I mean, they're. I don't know. They're trying. I don't think there's much.
My hair sticking up.
I don't think there's much that's consumer friendly about buying up large companies. But
no, I mean,
but they're trying
for the consumer.
They're trying to have a positive consumer-facing
PR
front.
face.
Yes. They're trying to have a good PR face.
Most people don't know that Microsoft's buying up all these companies.
And it's not hard to say this. It's not hard to say that you care about game preservation. It's an easy thing to do for a cheap pop and an easy win. And it's odd to me that
Foley pop?
It's odd to me that other companies don't care more about the preservation.
Right here in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. So they said it's more important than ever to preserve classic games. Whether your first time playing Morrowind is from 2002 on your Xbox or 2021 on your phone, we're excited to share these experiences with you. It was announced that backward-compatible games have been added to Xbox Cloud Gaming. The console's social media team took to Twitter to clarify their views on the preservation of classic games. As time goes on, it becomes more important than ever that we ensure gaming icons and classics. They announced this on the 31st. I don't think it's a coincidence.
No,
are preserved for new and old players alike.
It's just it's a really big 1-2 punch because it was right after Sony talked about pulling down the PS3, the Vita, and the PSP store.
I'm sure. I mean, Microsoft has become kind of like weird, not pals with Nintendo the past few years, but like second cousins that they hang out with at a party.
Yeah, they don't have an abrasive relationship.
Yeah, but they obviously communicate and they're not going at each other.
Right.
Microsoft has embraced Nintendo being that they're our pals. They're Sony hasn't, but Microsoft has. So yeah, they said we're excited to show this. So it's like you said, it's easy to do it, but now are they going to follow through with it going forward? And it seems like that they try to do the backwards compatibility stuff. We'll see. While Sony's abandoning it, so I mean it's better than not having it.
Sure.
That's all I got to say about it. But too bad more of this isn't happening. They're almost doing it more than Nintendo. Nintendo's like, yeah, we'll resell you the same game. That's our preservation. We'll resell you these games 15, 20 years later. We'll give you the privilege of buying these games again. That's how we're preserving them for you. I mean, that's basically what they're doing.
It's a fucking bummer. And we can say fuck now.
Yes, we can, Ian.
We can say fuck now.
Well, we could always say fuck, but when Ian said fuck Billy Mitchell 5 seconds in, I'd get demonetized and have to go back and plug away and pull the factory and go and re-edit and bleep out Ian and re-render, and Ian's at home sipping his Mai Tais and I'm working. Well, we don't have to worry about that to quite the same extent anymore because we can curse.
We can curse.
And
we
videos.
can curse freer and easier. As I've gotten older,
do you sip Mai Tais while I'm editing, Ian?
Curse less? No, I don't.
You don't curse less. You are less
I think
creative. I think in terms of
probably
saying people pissing in their own mouths. No, you still say that.
Oh, I will definitely say that some people.
You got angry. What was it last week? Was it 1 week or 2 weeks ago? You got super ornery for the.
I was angry about like 3 things last week.
Yeah, it was old school Ian to an extent.
It's crabby.
It's crabby Ian.
Less crabby this week.
So you can swear without risking demonetization. According to this GameSpot article, I had no idea that I didn't get an email about this. Previously, YouTube allowed for light profanity like hell or damn. It's like PG cursing in monetized videos. Now the YouTube will allow moderate profanity like shit and bitch in the first 30 seconds of a video. There you go, Ian. You can. I
can shit.
Moderate. You can shit and bitch people out. Probably can't use the F word. You can use infrequent strong profanity. So they have machine learning, if you didn't know that out there. So when Ian goes off on Zack Snyder or Michael Bay, he can probably say the F word like twice.
Right.
By the third time, okay, we might limit the monetization on this.
Yeah.
Maybe do that. But anyway, YouTube will let content creators monetize videos about, this is more important to me, they'll monetize videos about recreational drugs and drug-related content, documentary or news content that may include violent interactions with law enforcement, and controversial issues where non-graphic, objective discussions of objective discussions, I don't know what that means, I guess like a news thing, of controversial issues are in the video. So before, there were people that were covering some news stories or some social issues that, well, if there was some tinge of something in there that was social upheaval or maybe like a protest or a riot, they were automatically demonetized. That's it. Now they're allowing more freedom for that, which is good to talk about these sort of things. Creators will also be able to monetize more videos that feature adult themes delivered through the context of humor. I don't know how you're gonna get around that with machine learning, such as romance and dating jokes. I couldn't do a dating joke before. Really? The site also provided more specific examples for content that still cannot be monetized, including adult content. Well, can't show your peen, harmful or dangerous acts,
no peen,
and firearms related content. So that's interesting because there's gigantic YouTube channels, usually like they were in Russia, with guys with heavy machine guns firing shit off, and they get tons of views. Hey, I got this automatic shotgun, Ian, gas-powered automatic shotgun. I don't know how they get it. It's Russia. And Russia, you can own a Tiger. So, I mean, you can do whatever. But,
true.
So I guess that's going away.
Can you own a Tiger in Russia?
Dude, there's freaking Instagram accounts of people sleeping with freaking mountain lions in their beds.
Wild stuff.
The exotic pet trade thing, that's why when people would show me, oh, look, this is cool. I said, no. We don't want this shit happening. We don't want to encourage people trying to get big cats. No, that's bad. That's bad for the cats, and it's bad for people. It's bad for everyone. And they end up having miserable lives sometimes. Sorry. Go on. So these are all positive changes.
No, they're good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Unless you want an OnlyFans thing, you can't show nudity. Go on OnlyFans and do that. Or get your private Snapchat or what have you. Just don't do it as a YouTuber preying on your fans. That's still bad to do that. Really bad. E3 news, Ian. You excited?
No.
No,
I'm not. I don't get excited about. When's
the last time you got excited for E3? Literally, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
The 2000s, maybe.
You weren't excited like early 2000s,
early 2000
teens.
I can't tell you exactly when it was, but when I don't know, whenever all that information became easily available online, minutes or hours after it was announced at E3.
Well, that would be like 2013.
Probably
12.
even earlier than that.
Well, I'm talking about social media age, where literally you tweet out. You don't go to a website and wait for IGN to type up an article.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of these companies don't use E3 as their big announcement dumping ground anymore. Nintendo does the Direct. Sony has their own state of play.
Nintendo abandoned them like 5 years ago.
Microsoft announces stuff all year long. I mean, there are still big announcements at E3, but it hasn't mattered in a long, long time. And moving it online and charging for it this year. I mean, I understand.
Oh, they're charging for it? I thought I said it was free.
I thought they were charging. Let me take a look and see.
When I say Nintendo abandoned, yeah, they would go every year, but they don't. It's not their announcement place anymore like it used to be when they would do their own presentations. They just do their. No,
I'm sorry. The event will be entirely free. I heard early reports. After previous reports that part of E3 2021 could put behind paywalls, the ESA told IGN that E3's digital show is a free event for all attendees. Okay.
Yeah, I don't, because if I'm Nintendo or Microsoft, I'll be like, well, no, What, do it free, or we'll just release our own videos. Like, there's no advantage of going through E3's firewall to get the information out.
I'm certain at one point E3 probably wanted to try to charge money, and people were like, "That's not going to happen."
Nintendo's like,
literally no one is going to pay for that.
Nintendo's like, we're doing you a favor. You're not doing us a favor anymore, E3. We don't need you anymore. Microsoft does not need, the ESA.
Well, there is all my vitriol for this topic, but I mean, it's still silly.
I see people. I don't know, some of these people and journalists that work for these like IGN are like, I'm honestly excited this year for this. I'm like, are you really? I know you get a lot of content for your site, and you work for them. Are you really excited about having a 3-day digital event? Excuse me, 4 days, 12, 13, 14. A 4-day digital event?
I think some people are probably excited that they don't have to leave.
I think
we're in
a different. Yes, but we're in a different spot even from 3-4 years ago, where I'd rather have information come out, or I can easily track it. I don't have to want to be glued. Obviously, yes, if you're huge into this and you want to get tons of information over 4 days, but most people, the average Joe, don't have time for it, to be locked down to. Well, I'm going to watch 8-9 different hour presentations. No. I'm not binge watching presentations. Give me the recap, and I'm good. I think we're in a different spot, But people like to go on Twitch, and people will watch their Twitch streamer or YouTube streamer, watch the presentation. Sure. People ask me, "Hey Pat, are you going to stream Nintendo Direct?" And I'm like, I guess I could, but like.
My problem with the Nintendo Directs is everyone streams Nintendo Directs. Like, literally, every time that a Nintendo Direct comes out, it's like every single person I follow who does any YouTube, it's like, come join me while we stream the Direct. And that's fine, but I wonder how many people are does anyone actually tune in for anyone's streams if everyone's streaming?
That's the thing, right? Yeah. It's like what's become of YouTube. There's so many, anyone can stream now,
right?
Where it's like people are excited to becoming Twitch affiliates because the bar is not high to get there, but it's like once you have millions of people doing it, no one's going to stand out. You know what I mean? It's hard to stand out when everyone's doing it. That's a thing. And I respect the hustle, but I'm saying that it's tough when everyone's doing the same thing when it comes to that. But no, people like to get together and hang out. I get that.
Yeah, no, I've contemplated streaming the Directs too, just because I like the Direct and it would be fun. But
when are you going to stream, man? People want to see you.
I fucking hate it. It's so stress-inducing.
I stream every Wednesday. Twitch.tv/Country Code. 80s commercials coming your way almost a year straight.
Yeah.
Cheap plug. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so, all right. It's going to be a thing. I don't know if Nintendo's going to use that to make any huge announcements, though, being that they just had a big Direct, and that'll be still like 4 months away from the fall, or 5 months.
Well,
maybe they'll do the Super Switch announcement.
I was going to say, if all signs are indicative of the Super Switch, they would probably announce that at E3. Why not?
We'll see. Or maybe they'll announce the Legend of Zelda 35th event maybe for a fall. Will they do 2 35ths it's Zelda. It's their second biggest franchise. I mean, I can see them doing that.
I feel like they've gotta.
They gotta. I'm not saying you gotta do it for Metroid this year, but Zelda and Mario, come on.
Even every 5 years is a lot to celebrate.
Well, they did did they do a 30th for Mario, or just a 25th?
I think they did a 30th.
25th had that Wii release, right?
I think they did a 30th.
I don't remember the 30th, but Nintendo respects the 5s and 0s. That's why we like Nintendo.
Yes.
They didn't do the freaking 34th Mario anniversary.
Thank goodness.
They didn't do that. We should have talked about this, about game preservation, about this Castlevania Dreamcast prototype being found.
Yeah, I just want to bring this up. Castlevania Resurrection.
Sounds like a bad movie.
Which was to star Sonia Belmont, who was introduced in Castlevania Legends on the Game Boy, and was going to introduce Victor Belmont. Was shown in various magazines around the time that the Dreamcast was launched. It was going to be, I believe, the first game done by Konami America. Ended up never coming out. Rumors were, even early in development, that it wasn't shaping up to be a particularly great game. It was linear 3D. It looked like it was going to kind of almost follow in the footsteps of like the Castlevania 64 game.
I was going to say... those aren't super open world. Those are pretty linear.
Yeah, right? I think it would have been something closer to that than the Lords of Shadow games that came out later. Rumors were that there were people within Konami who didn't like that the American development studio was making it, and they were trying to sabotage it internally.
Sabotage.
So yeah, it was canceled, but someone did find a build with some parts playable. I did not watch a whole lot of it, and there's not a whole lot of info other than that. But that's one that I think a lot of people have been hoping to find to get out there. I also think they were probably hoping it was in closer to complete condition, and from what I understand, this is still pretty rough around the edges.
It's pre-alpha.
Yeah,
like she's walking around in lava, for example. It's a 3-minute YouTube video. The only thing they've ever uploaded, and it was a YouTube channel just for this called CVR Exists is the name of the YouTube channel. So that's funny. And then it's not direct gameplay. You see the controller in the hand. This individual is playing it on the TV. So people are asking, are you going to dump it? Are you going to do it? Someone said, this person named Chuck says, while you're in no obligation to rip it, it would be amazing if you do it for preservation purposes. If you have no intention of sharing it, at least make a personal backup since CDs don't last forever. Yeah, rip it and put it on a hard drive and put it on the cloud, your personal cloud, like put it somewhere. Because a CD may not last forever.
No.
They can last decades, but like they can go.
Yeah, even if you're not going to dump it for the public, which you should, definitely, put it, do something to preserve it, within your own capabilities. Dump it to a computer, rip it, make multiple CDs.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking about it on here. I would implore you to dump an ISO of the game for preservation, if nothing else. This is a huge thing for the community. I would think that this individual would do that, but who knows? See, a lot of times the reason they don't do it publicly because they think they can cash in. I'm not saying this person's going to do it, but they can cash in selling this. This is why, again, I do not like the publicizing of something like Force of Illusion saying, hey, we paid money to have this done, because you're negotiating with terrorists at that point. That's what you're kind of doing. Sure. Game preservation terrorists. You're negotiating with them. You should not make that public. And it's probably happening less and less where these are being held hostage, but it's still happening, obviously. Yeah. There's still stuff that people have privately that has not been preserved that we know about.
Right.
It's just a fact when it comes down to it. You want to talk about Metroid Prime 2D before Nintendo says you're not doing this anymore?
All I want to say about this is it looks nice and it's not long for this world. I mean, we talked about the last time. We've been doing this long enough that there was another 2D Metroid remake that we were watching 5 years ago.
Well, Nintendo was working on their own, so that was gone immediately. This, though, they've been working on. It's a graphic styling like that. They've been working on this. They said for 15 years. These people.
And
15 years.
This is kind of cooler to me in a way because it's not. The Metroid 2 remake was cool looking, but this is actually taking Metroid Prime, and I don't know if you even want to say. I mean, it looks fantastic. Demaked back into a 2D game, so they're taking the first person game and kind of reimagining it as a 2D side-scrolling shooter. So it was.
I mean, Nintendo's still gonna. If this ever comes to light, Nintendo still come down on this, but at least it's not a direct.
No, I mean, obviously they're going to come down on it. I just think this is a very cool idea, and the graphics are gorgeous.
But this is what I mean when it comes to this. I'm not putting these people down. I mean, if you work on this for over a decade, you're working on this, and people are even in the comments saying, "Why are you announcing this before it's done?" Nintendo's gonna cease and desist you. I get that. My whole point is, if you did just a spiritual successor to the game, change Samus's design.
Sure.
Call it something else. Change the name of the items. Change the enemies. And you could release it as your own game. No, and you would still get fanfare.
You and I always talk about this, though. We wonder why these people with this great amount of talent put all this time into something that is almost never going to be able to see the light of day officially.
Maybe some people don't care about it, but I'm just saying, like, all that time and effort, and you can't even put it out for free, though. That's what you can't even put it for. It's not about making money. You can't even put it out for free if you want to.
Right.
At that point, like, it's just. So this is a nice quote or nice comment. Congratulations on your inevitable cancellation. Now you made it public before it was properly complete, but this looks genuinely incredible and impressive.
Yeah, I saw something like that too. That was like, congratulations on your upcoming cease and desist, because that's exactly what's coming.
Nintendo, hippity hoppity, you're dead. This looks amazing. Shame Nintendo is such a stubborn company that sees fan passion projects as personal attacks. Well, it's not a personal attack. Definitely going to give the demo a shot myself. I would love to see this project fully realized. Unless they realize we're so far away from having this completed that we're just going to put it out there. We know we're never going to complete it.
Right. They don't see it as a personal attack. They say.
I don't think Nintendo's like, oh, damn it, they did a fan project.
No, it's protecting IP.
Protecting IP. And the last time this happened, they actually were doing their own game, so it was directly, yeah. But it's been out for 3 days and it's still online here. So
yeah,
is the download link still there? Okay, it's still there. So Nintendo's lawyers don't know about it yet.
Get it while it's hot.
But they will.
This worse.
Get it while it's hot.
Yeah.
Get that flapjack. You know what you can get while it's hot?
Pins, shirts, books.
Certain books are hot at ultimatenintendo.com.
All sorts of things.
Not for resale Blu-ray. You can go on there. You can find the stuff you like for. Let's see. Is there any gift giving holiday in the spring? No. Easter's gone. I used to get like one little gift for Easter. Sometimes my spoiled cousin would get Super Mario 3, and I'd be jealous.
It's absurd.
Or Super Mario 2, and I'm like, oh, you got a Nintendo game for Easter? I get like Cadbury cream eggs and maybe a little stuffed troll, or like the troll dolls that were big and.
We would always get something super, super tiny. Like, I mean, real tiny. Like
I got an Easter basket.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like $50 gifts in there.
No, exactly.
Maybe there was like a G.I. Joe, a $3 G.I. Joe if I was lucky, you know?
My mom in particular loved to do a scavenger hunt every year. We had fun with it.
No, we never did that.
It was just an excuse to do a scavenger hunt. She'd write clues and hide eggs, and then at the end we'd get our basket with chocolate in there. Can
I have your mom? Can can she adopt me?
No, she's my mom. You can't have my mom.
Damn it. Sorry, Mom. What else is going on? Delay of something that Ian ordered.
Yes.
That Pat missed out on because Ian doesn't love me.
So Analogue Pocket has been officially delayed. I think we were all expecting that. There was a lot of quietness surrounding it as we approached the month it was supposed to come out. I thought it was April. I guess it was supposed to be out in May.
Quietness. I don't know, look that up and see if that's a word.
Probably not.
Is that different than silence?
Silence.
Quietness is a word. Absence of noise or bustle.
See?
I don't think I've ever used that word before in my life. Quietness.
Well, now you can. Now that you know about it,
people also ask, is quietness a real word? So people do ask this. Okay.
I'm sure. So is it a bummer? Yes, it's absolutely a bummer. My problem is that the pre-order was taken so far in advance that it does feel like we're giving them an interest-free loan at this point. That said, I understand that there are part shortages. I understand things happen. I understand and have seen Analogue ship and make plenty of products. So it's not at risk. It's not at risk.
It's not a first timer doing this.
Right. This isn't a Polymega situation. This isn't an Amico situation. This is a company that has done this stuff in the past. So I still have faith that I'm going to get it. This company's been around
for like 10 years.
Still have faith that I'm going to get the product. But yeah, I was starting to look forward to getting this in my hands in May.
And we had not heard anything about pre-order on the Duo, which could have been a hint as well.
Probably smart on their part to not do anything with the Duo until they are certain that the part shortages are not going to affect it. So I have a feeling it's going to be a while before we see pre-orders for the Duo. I think we probably won't see pre-orders for the Duo until much later this year, maybe October or November.
And before you ask, no, it has nothing to do with the stuck freighters in the Suez Canal that literally affected the world economy.
Yeah.
And trade. Isn't that nuts that a stuck ship can do that?
Yep.
It was stuck for like 5-6 days, and like so ships had to go around the fucking south of Africa to get to Europe. Like we're back in the oldie times.
Yeah, they had to go around
800 years ago or 500 years ago. Like you're Columbus trying to get find spices from the east. Like that's what happened.
Yes.
The freighter was wider, longer than the width, and somehow it got turned. Oh, they're in trouble probably. Anyway, so that's not why this is happening. Pat put on his Hearn Burford out of control news hat, and he's talked to his source saying, why is this chip shortage happening the past year? What is going on? And from my reliable source told me this. It goes back to cars, automobile sales.
Right.
So what happened is nowadays there's computers. Your car is a computer basically at this point.
Right.
It's not the old days with your catalytic converters and things like that. There's computer chips and boards and such in your car. So when the pandemic happened, all the electronic components people assumed like, well, we don't have to produce all this stuff. And even the car companies were like, well, we don't have to order as many because people won't be buying cars during a pandemic. That didn't happen. People bought cars last year. So it was a lot more than they thought. So that sent everything to a tailspin. So the car manufacturers then get first priority on this stuff. So then everyone else then who needs components is like, holy shit, I better order these whatever parts I can right now to make sure that I have them, even if I'm not making stuff for them yet. So it became a toilet paper scenario.
Gotcha.
For parts. So there are companies hoarding this stuff, these components, that aren't even really using them, just having them just in case. And that's created this whole cascading effect across the industry. And my source said, well, it might not be cleared up now for several months to catch up on getting the supplies made across the industry, because now you have companies not using this shit. They ordered it. They went overboard and ordering it. The same thing what people do with the toilet paper. Sure. I'm going to go out to Costco and I'm going to get 800 rolls of toilet paper that will take me 17 years to shit and use these. This is the electronic component version of that. That's happened. If you're doing anything modern, you're kind of delayed here. So you say that, Ian?
Yeah, I'm bummed, but I'll live.
Maybe though, this will give them time to do another pre-order. Maybe.
Yeah,
before that comes out,
we'll see. At the very least, I think they'll have a better idea of what they can have produced within the next 2 years.
Sure. You want to talk about Counter-Strike match fixing?
Yeah, so match fixing has gotten so bad in Counter-Strike that apparently they're involving the FBI in the United States. This was reported by Kotaku Australia. So basically they're talking about how match fixing is a problem in Counter-Strike. It's real bad in Australia, and apparently it even says here the police said the first part will be dealt with. This will be dealt with quickly because they're dealing with idiots.
Okay.
Yeah, they're dealing with idiots. Yeah, people who are just betting on their own matches and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, in Australia. But the article goes on to talk about how the FBI is starting to get involved with this in the U.S. It's what they said is classic match fixing. People being bribed by outside betting syndicates in order to fix matches. It's not them. It's not being done by the players to each other to make them money. They're being contacted by outside betting syndicates.
It's how they used to do with college kids.
Yes, exactly. Or
the mob used to come to college kids and be like, okay, well, why don't you don't even have to throw the game, just shave some points off. I don't know if there's any point shaving here, but
yeah.
But then they tell you to lose a game, the mob, or else, oh yeah, okay, we'll just hurt you. We'll just break your legs so you can't play basketball anymore, or worse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what's happening here. We're going to break your fingers so you can't hit a mouse button.
But they're talking about how it's difficult in the U.S. and they're just starting to do it because most gambling and betting in the U.S. has been illegal and under the radar, so they're not paying attention to it. So things like match fixing, there's no legal reason for them to keep eyes on it, basically. And it highlights a problem that I think and I can make this argument for a lot of things, drugs, prostitution, but gambling, you make it legal and you regulate it, and it cuts down on the crime, or at least allows the crime to be more visible.
Yeah, the crime can be taken out a lot more readily. So online sports betting in the U.S., there's only I think a handful of states where it's legal. Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia. So pat math, that's like 20% of the U.S. only. So I don't know if you can bet on. I don't know if the online sports books in the U.S. have esports on it, but I'd be nuts if I got into it knowing this stuff is happening.
Yeah,
be nuts, and that's the problem. The integrity of the sport is now non-existent, or game esport. When you hear about this stuff, this does not happen with professional sports, and it goes back to what I said: is well, these aren't athletes that spend their whole lives to play a sport and make millions of dollars that would never throw a game,
right? Because
you throw everything away, and they're well off. These are a lot of times younger people or kids that, all right, I'll take your money.
Yeah,
I'll take your 10 grand or 20 grand to throw this match. Who cares?
Right.
Why not? What am I going to lose? Oh, no, I can't play this online game anymore? Okay. No one's going to know about it. I'm not going to be humiliated like Pete Rose, or, you know what I mean? Who cares? So this is bad. This is really bad. It makes you obviously not want to bet, but not want to watch this stuff when you know this happens. Because there's no integrity anymore.
Yeah,
Even if you know it could happen.
It's happening too much for you to feel like you're watching something natural.
Yeah.
Not watching the whole time you're watching, you'll be asking, am I watching, the skill of two players, or am I watching something with machinations in the background?
Sure.
So, yeah.
And there is this organization, the ESIC, I guess, to sort of make sure this isn't happening. But let's see. They commented to the commissioner, the betting scandal in Australia, where whilst it was a large group of players, and there definitely is match fixing there, we're working with law enforcement there. It takes a lot longer there once you start working with the police. Fortunately, in Australia, these are criminal offenses. Wow. So getting it all coordinated with the police takes a lot longer. We've got great solid cases there. And if it was just us acting alone, we announced these prosecutions now. But it isn't all 42 guys that were betting. It is a much smaller group within that were not just betting, but manipulating outcomes. Cool. They might go to Australian prison.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's the way you do it. You're not just going to kick you out. You're going to do some jail time.
Right. There's actual punishment.
You're going to do some Aussie jail time here. I guess we'll catch up eventually once this happens. But that's the one thing that, even with the pandemic, I did not see there would be a huge uptick in interest in at least on the TV, on esports. There wasn't last year. People wanted real sports, and they try to throw in things here and there, and it was like, rather watch cornhole than watch someone play some of these games on TV, because it doesn't translate. But this doesn't help. Then wait for them to throw the cornhole. Can I bet on cornhole? That'd be great. Can I just do online gambling in California? What the hell are we waiting for? It's been decriminalized federally. Like, what the fuck are we waiting for? Regulate it and do it. It's ridiculous. I got to drive to Nevada to put in a bet. It's insane. Sorry. Speaking of gambling, a new study in the UK has found a robustly verified link between problematic gambling and loot boxes in video games. I am so shocked that loot box surprise mechanics is tantamount to gambling. That could trigger the same, serotonin or whatever in your head. Oh, I feel good betting on shit and getting a nice, is anyone shocked?
No.
By this? So this was a report from the BBC conducted by researchers at the University of Plymouth and University of Wolverhampton. That's an awesome name in the UK. And commissioned by the charity Gambling Aware. It took existing data and examined elements such as gender, the age of spenders, and how much revenue is provided by a small number of spenders. So it sounds like a meta-analysis. Based on the research, they found that up to 40% of children who play games have open loot boxes. Holy shit, that's a high percentage.
That's a lot.
Though it does not mention if this number includes earned loot boxes or only paid ones. Okay. Still, the effect's the same. It also said it's priming you to be a gambler. It also said about 5% of players generate half the revenue from these loot boxes. That makes sense. There's always whales, even when it comes to mobile games. It's always it's medium versus average.
Yes.
And dumb idiots running game companies don't know the difference between that, unfortunately. The difference between a median and a mean when it comes to this. Let's see. Small number of players are spending an exorbitant amount of money, and that younger, less educated men are the most likely to use them. Wow. Interesting. Spending can hit $100 per month, and with younger and less educated people typically having less disposable income, that is a sizable amount. In response, game publishers have typically pointed out that in something like poker, you're guaranteed to get some prize from a loot box. However, the pushback from players has still let them become a little less common in AAA releases. Yes, but poker never says, hey, we're not gambling. Poker's gambling.
Right. It's clearly gambling.
Even with skill involved, it's gambling. So they say out front, they're not trying to trick you. They're not going after poker. Does not advertise towards children. I never said, hey, little kids, play our puffy poker game with animals on the cards. I've never seen that in my life because it's regulated and you can't do that shit. So that's a bad argument to bring up poker right there. And I love poker. So not shocked, right?
No.
Surprised, but not shocked.
Not shocked.
And finally, we'll talk about police busting a game cheat operation in China.
Largest game cheat operation in the world. They busted several luxury sports cars were among assets seized in the raid. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The only thing I really want to point out here is just how expensive some of this cheat shit is. I didn't realize. They sold their cheats were like $10 a day up to $200 a month to subscribe to these cheats.
And these included Overwatch and Call of Duty Mobile. Roughly $76 million in revenue was made by the organization, was charged a subscription fee, according to this BBC article. It was a combination of Chinese police and gaming giant Tencent going after this group.
Oh, and I also wanted to comment on it. It was called Operation Chicken Drumstick.
That's a great
name of the cheat operation.
That is a great name.
They sold to hundreds of countries and regions. Chicken Drumstick.
If you're in this criminal organization, well, now they're criminal. I think it's weird. They found and destroyed 17 cheats and arrested 10 people in connection with the ring. Why are you buying these cars? You want to keep a low profile. Have you ever seen American Gangster when Denzel says when he gets that fur coat and he wears it, and that's how they end up identifying him, and he throws it in the fire? You keep a low profile. Great movie, American Gangster, by the way, if you never saw it.
I did.
Russell Crowe and the RZA's in it. Great part by the RZA.
Saw that a while back.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Saw it in theaters. But you want to keep a low profile. You don't want to fucking go out with cars that cost $250,000.
No.
You want to make a nice. Plus, you want to invest, put in a nice IRA, grow it slowly over time, not waste it on the cars. I'm just telling you. If I ever got rich, that's like the last thing I would do is buy 10 fucking sports cars. I don't want to do that. I just don't want.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Maybe I'll buy a water park.
Yeah.
Let people come in free
that would
once
be
a
fun.
week. Tuesdays are half price. There you go.
Tuesdays are half price.
Tuesday and Thursday half price, like Waterworks and Seaside Heights. Is that it for the intro?
Yeah, let's trans.
But why are you okay? You got the money. You're ruining people's day. Like you're spending $10 a day to access cheats. That just seems nuts, doesn't it? Like I'm trying to wrap my. I might have met an individual in my life that would do something like this. I just don't understand that. That's like a psychopathy at that point. That you want to cheat, and not just cheat. You'll only spend thousands of years.
Yeah, that's what
cheat.
gets me. Yes, that's absurd.
That's ridiculous. All right, that's it for this intro.
That's it for this intro.